Okay, I've been able to dig up a little bit more information on these people and how their processes work and such about the mark of the beast system and also about this predictive programming. So what I was looking for was, is there a particular Bible verse or maybe parts of the Apocrypha, the ones that are mentioned in the Bible, those extra Bible books that are not necessarily inspired writing, but the Bible does mention them as books of truth. So I was hunting around to see if I could find a verse that says that God has set some kind of boundary line for the dark side, that they can't cross the things that they want to do to us unless they have our permission. And I can't really find anything in the research anyway yet that says that. Now, I will say from personal experience in researching these things and looking and watching for 10 years, I've seen that those things that they did predict way back when, some of those things have actually occurred. They've actually come true on these little card games and movies and TV shows, and this 923, 924 stuff's been popping up in movies forever and ever and ever. And so there's definitely enough evidence just on the natural side for us to take a look at it. But I want to show you this information that I found too here. Apparently, there's some kind of code that they go by, and they know this probably from dark sources, dark entities, Satan himself perhaps even, that they're basically going to get in trouble if they don't announce the dastardly deeds that they're going to do to us ahead of time, and thereby getting our passive consent, because we don't try to stop them with prayer or arrest them or whatever, and then they're going to be able to do it, okay? Then God, in their minds, God's not going to hold them accountable and lock them up in a star prison right now, okay? So that's kind of what they're talking about here, is this sort of a loophole is what they look at it like. If we tell them in a very passive way, in a song, in a movie, in a book that somebody wrote, or something else, that we're going to do these things, even like the money, what's on the money, okay, with that little triangle thing and all those little hidden symbols in that, that's all part of this predictive programming telling us in America that they're ruling us, okay, that we are Mystery Babylon. I've proven that in another video, so go watch that. But let's talk about this law of disclosure. In the occult tradition, it doesn't have like a single birthday, according to the research here anyways. Instead, it is a Frankenstein's monster of beliefs that have evolved over centuries, blending ancient philosophy with modern conspiracy theory. Now, remember, the whole notion of conspiracy theory is that they had to come put a label on people that were digging around and finding stuff and saying, hey, this looks a little fishy in the government. Hey, this looks a little fishy in the church. Hey, something's going on with this corporation over here. And there were whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork. And then they just decided, everybody's a conspiracy theorist. Let's put a tinfoil hat on you. You guys go shut up over there, sit down. We're just going to all call you crazy. Because they don't want people blowing the whistle on them. They don't want people uncovering their dirty little secrets and exposing what they've done in the darkness to the light. But that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing as Christians, and there's a lot of it that has been exposed, right? But that's one of the ways they try to keep the lid on this thing. So let's look at this ancient Hermeticism from the 2nd and 3rd century. The foundation lies in Hermetica, a collection of texts attributed to the mythical figure Hermes Trismegistus. I don't know how to say all these crazy weird names of these gods, so... All right, so this is going back to this concept, and I see this on shirts in Walmart usually. It's where all the witches hang out, apparently, in this area of the South. As above, so below. The influence this established the idea that the universe runs on fixed mathematical and spiritual laws. Occultists believe that to master the world, they must follow these universal laws, one of which they claim is the respect for free will. To violate a soul without warning it first is seen as the violation of the universal mechanics, okay? Now, y'all, I've been staring at a computer screen all day long, so just give me some fluid grace here with the reading. I'm sorry about that. All right. The Jewish Kabbalah, Middle Ages. While the Kabbalah is a school of Jewish mysticism, Christian Kabbalists, which is an oxymoron that does not exist, And later occultists during the Renaissance borrowed its concepts of cause and effect. They developed the idea that every action has a spiritual price tag. Well, it's kind of like reaping what you sow, right? Excuse me. To tell a plan in advance is a way to manipulate the law of cause and effect so that the person receiving the information becomes the one responsible for the effect if they fail to stop the cause, okay? So we're supposed to be taking action, but here's the problem with this. Besides in the spiritual realm, we can obviously take action there anytime we want to, and that is powerful. But as far as taking action in a physical sense, they've got their little cronies in all these organizations, the FBI, the CIA, your local police department's probably got somebody in it, your churches have somebody in it, the corporations have somebody in it, that they sort of foil the plans of finding out what's going on, even to the point of murdering people that are going to rat them out. So they've sort of got it kind of blocked off from us even doing that, and the spirit realm is really the most powerful one naturally, but also maybe the only one that we have that would actually work. So then we have 18th century Freemasonry and secret societies. During the Enlightenment, groups like the Bavarian Illuminati and various Masonic rites emphasized symbolism as a language. The influence, they believed that the masses, the uninitiated, were spiritually asleep. Well, that's true. And we're not supposed to even be asleep on what's going on behind the veil as well. We're supposed to be wise like the serpents are, know about their plans and how they're trying to trick people not to fall into it. But we're supposed to be as gentle as doves. But instead of being wise like serpents, we're over here napping like the bunny, okay? I'm ahead of things. I'm just going to take a nap. You guys, you go ahead, turtle. You can win in race. That's what we're doing. We're taking a little nap because we think we got it all figured out, right? By putting their symbols in public architecture, yep, that's all over the Washington, D.C., all these little symbols of their fake gods, money and documents, they weren't just showing off. That's the thing I was talking about, the money, that little triangle thing, and some of those little sayings and little, even like tiny little symbols, little owls and all kinds of stuff in there. They were performing a ritual in plain sight. This revelation is a way to distinguish the masters from the slaves. See, their view of people is that we're just cattle to them. Like they don't even consider normal, everyday working people to be people. They consider them to be below them to the point where they're not even human. And that's why they do these crazy things, these rituals and killing and sex trafficking and all this kind of stuff too. And actual literal slavery too, working them to death. Aleister Crowley and Thelema or something like that. Crowley, perhaps the most famous occultist of the modern era, popularized the phrase, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Well, a lot of times we also see this in once saved always too, right? I got the grace so I can live however I want to now. See, it's part of that comes from what? Satanism. You can't live however you want to. You still have to obey God and follow His commandments. The grace is there to clean you up. It's not there to give you a license to be a Satanist and do whatever you want to do, okay? Then the influence. This placed will and consent at the center of the spiritual universe. In this framework, if a magician tells you what they're doing and you don't use your will to stop it, you've essentially consented to their magic, okay? So this is how they try to keep themselves out of trouble with God, because if you invite those things into your life, willingly or naively, then they do have the right to mess with you, okay? That's why you need to be wise like a serpent, okay? Michael Hoffman, too, the modern source. Now, this is just a 80s, 90s guy. I'm just going to maybe just hold it there if y'all want to read about him. It's basically the same thing, different package. All right, then it says here, the tradition originated from a desire to bypass spiritual judgment. It is a legalistic approach to evil, trying to find a loophole in God's laws of justice by claiming that the victim was warned, and therefore you gave them your permission, okay? In their minds, I think it's sort of one of these things, well, hey, if you consent to doing this magic ritual with me, then I get to inhabit you as a demon, okay? And then they're doing it in the same way. Hey, if I've told you that we're going to do this stuff to you guys to harm you or put you on some kind of spell or whatever they're going to do to the mass population, and then you don't say, stop, no, I don't want that, well, then they have permission. They have your consent. See, that's how their little wicked, evil minds think, okay? So I just thought I would show you that as well, because that does give a lot of evidence to this predictive programming kind of stuff. And I was going to pull this up. Let me see if I can do it real quick here. If I can remember how to spell it. Let's see. Pluribus, I think is how you spell it. There's some kind of TV show. I don't know if you guys watch this TV show. I hope you haven't watched it. It's on Apple TV because it's got lesbians in it and stuff. Let's see if we can get a summary of it. And I'll be very careful about what you watch nowadays because there's some real bad stuff in these movies and stuff that you don't need to be watching. And if you are going to watch something that's not Christian, I would recommend going to VidAngel and only maybe watch up to like PG-13 movies. And if the content of the movie is horror-based or a lot of killing or some kind of real bad sinful life that these people are leading, then you need to just stay away from that. It's not worth it, okay? Just go and do something more productive with your time. Don't engage in their sin just because you're bored, okay? Don't do it. So this Pluribus is a science fiction television series, and that's what they're saying. Because remember, they always have to cloak it under something fantasy or horror or science fiction. They can't say, hey, this is our real plan. This is a documentary of what we plan to do to you. But it's following this lady named Carol, and she lives in New Mexico. And the world is suddenly overtaken by a mysterious virus created by decoding signals from outer space. Hello, the dark tower, the angels that are up in the prisons in heaven, in the second heaven, that merges human minds into a singular optimistic collective consciousness known as the joined. So this is the joined or the hive mind I was telling you about. So, unlike typical sci-fi body snatchers, the infected are characterized by a forced, sunny sense of happiness and helpfulness. That's the virtual reality sort of side of this thing. Now, they're not necessarily in actual virtual reality glasses or whatever, but like behind this mind's eye, that this hive mind mentality is going to make them think that everything is great. Now, also think about the old movie, The Matrix. Those people were put into some kind of virtual reality and used as batteries, used as fuel for these machines, which is how they often depict the evil entities, the fallen angels and Satan himself, as some kind of robotics. Okay, and what are we talking about right now? AI is going to take over the whole world. Well, it's really the satanic forces behind the AI that's going to take over the whole world, right? We all know that. Those of us with discernment, we've got that figured out. So Carol is one of the 11 people in the world naturally immune to the virus. Well, she hadn't taken the mark, I guess. Carol struggles to retain her individuality and find a way to reverse the virus's effects, while the collective attempts to peacefully persuade her to join them. Okay, it's going to be voluntary at first. It's going to look like the greatest thing in the world. Let's go get the jab and you get free donuts for a year, okay? It's one of those things. See, they were practicing on us then. All right, and then we have, let's see, is there another key theme here? The show serves as an allegory for artificial intelligence and the loss of human individuality in exchange for artificial bliss. Well, it's not artificial intelligence, guys. It's witchcraft, giving your very essence of your life over to these evil entities. And then they're going to use you to harvest that same thing from other people. The ones that take the mark, and you're going to become your own idol, and you are going to turn into a literal statue that for a while is going to move with supersonic speed, and then pretty soon you're going to crumble when Jesus starts to come back and the real light comes back on the world. Well, then all those little systems are going to break, and you're going to crumble apart to nothing or turn into a statue, one that's fixed, that cannot move around if something goes wrong and the system goes haywire in your body, okay? That's why they call them gargoyles. It's a very terrible name. They also call them zombies because they don't have control over their mind, will, and emotions anymore, okay? So those are their words, not mine, okay? But they're very derogatory. I get it. But that's what they're going to turn them into. That's why you need to warn them. These shows are out here, and I'm going to probably do a whole video on just this show, but not watching it. Just look at the summaries of it. And that way you guys can see that they are telling us ahead of time what they're going to do, what their plans are. And your job is to say, you're not doing that to me. I'm getting in this boat, okay? So do it. Get in the boat.